You think numbers tell the story. You think 50 casual encounters means more damage than 5 serious relationships. You think physical intimacy without emotional investment leaves deeper scars than emotional investment without permanent commitment. You're wrong. The woman who slept with 50 men gave her body. The woman who loved 5 men gave her soul. And souls don't heal the way bodies do. Souls remember every promise that was broken, every future that was stolen, every ring that never came. She didn't collect 50 strangers. She collected 5 fathers, 5 men who were supposed to save her from the first one who didn't. 5 men who taught her that love is not a feeling you experience, but a sentence you serve. 5 men who showed her what it means to build your entire identity around someone else's potential to choose you. The woman with 50 bodies knows what she's doing. The woman with 5 hearts has no idea what was done to her. You want to understand the difference between physical surrender and emotional destruction, between someone who trades intimacy for temporary connection and someone who trades her entire sense of self for the illusion of forever, between someone who knows the game and someone who still believes in fairy tales written by men who were never planning to be the prince. This is what 5 serious relationships really means. 5 times she reorganized her entire existence around the promise of permanence. 5 times she learned his favorite breakfast and memorized his mother's birthday and adjusted her career plans to fit his timeline. 5 times she practiced writing her name with his last name when she thought he wasn't looking. 5 times she imagined their children and planned their future and made space in her closet for the life they were going to build together. 5 times she became someone else's idea of the perfect woman. 5 times she sacrificed pieces of herself on the altar of his approval. 5 times she looked in the mirror and saw not herself, but the reflection of what he needed her to be. And 5 times she learned that love is something that happens to you, not something you participate in. The first one taught her that men leave when they get bored. So with the second one, she became more interesting. She learned new hobbies, developed new skills, became the kind of woman who could hold a man's attention through pure entertainment value. She became a performance artist of her own life. She started reading books she didn't enjoy because he mentioned them once. She developed opinions about subjects that bored her because he found them fascinating. She learned to laugh at jokes that weren't funny because his humor became her compass for what was acceptable to find amusing. She became fluent in the language of his interests while her own withered from neglect. The second one taught her that men leave when you become too comfortable. So with the third one, she stayed mysterious. She kept parts of herself hidden, maintained distance even in intimacy, never fully relaxed into the relationship, because relaxation felt like the beginning of the end. She learned to schedule her vulnerability, to ration her authenticity like a resource that would run out if used too freely. She became an expert at being present while remaining absent, at giving herself while keeping herself, at loving someone without letting them see all the ways she needed to be loved back. The third one taught her that men leave when you don't give them enough space. So with the fourth one, she became independently successful. She built her own life, her own career, her own social circle. She became the cool girl who never needed anything, who supported his dreams without asking him to support hers. She learned that independence was just another performance, that strength was just another mask, that success was just another way to prove she was worth choosing. She became so good at not needing him that she forgot how to want him in ways that felt honest rather than strategic. The fourth one taught her that men leave when you're too independent. So with the fifth one, she became nurturing. She cooked his meals and supported his goals and made herself small enough to fit into whatever space he was willing to give her. She became the woman who existed in the gaps between his priorities. She learned to anticipate his needs before he expressed them, to solve his problems before he knew they existed, to become indispensable through service rather than irreplaceable through love. She became a caretaker disguised as a girlfriend, a mother dressed up as a lover. The fifth one taught her that men leave no matter what you do. Each relationship was a masterclass in adaptation. Each heartbreak was a lesson in how to be better for the next one. Each ending was proof that she still hadn't learned how to be the kind of woman worth staying for. Each man became a ghostwriter of her personality, editing her into someone she thought he might love more than he loved his freedom. But here's what you don't understand about the mathematics of heartbreak. Each serious relationship didn't just end, it exploded. It took with it not just the present moment, but the entire future she had constructed around his presence. It destroyed not just what was, but what was supposed to be. When the woman with 50 encounters moves on, she's leaving behind a night, maybe a weekend, possibly a few weeks of shared pleasure. When the woman with 5 relationships moves on, she's leaving behind years of shared dreams, integrated friend groups, combined finances, merged identities, and a version of herself that only existed in relation to him. She's not just losing a person, she's losing a timeline. She's losing the apartment they were going to get together, the wedding they were planning, the children they named during late night conversations, the retirement they discussed while lying in bed on Sunday mornings. She's losing an entire parallel universe where she was chosen, cherished, and kept. The woman with 50 encounters never built those futures. She never integrated those timelines. She never constructed those identities. She protected herself through emotional compartmentalization, giving access to her body while maintaining sovereignty over her dreams. But the woman with 5 serious relationships gave away her capacity to imagine a future that didn't include someone else's approval. She gave away her ability to make plans that weren't contingent on someone else's commitment. She gave away her right to exist as a complete person rather than half of an incomplete whole. By the time she meets you, she's carrying the ghost of every man who made her believe she was worth choosing and then changed his mind. She's carrying the weight of every future that was promised and never delivered. She's carrying the rage of someone who gave her best years to men who treated them like extended auditions for a role they never intended to cast. You think you're meeting her, but you're meeting them. All of them. Every man who taught her that love means loss. Every man who showed her that commitment is just another word for the period of time before someone finds something better. Every man who made her feel chosen and then reminded her that being chosen is not the same as being kept. She looks at you and sees not your potential to love her, but your potential to leave her. She touches you with hands that remember every promise that was broken. She gives you her body while protecting her heart, because her heart has been returned to her in pieces too many times to risk offering it whole again. This is why she punishes you for crimes you didn't commit. This is why she tests your loyalty with problems she creates. This is why she sabotages the good moments before you can take them away from her. This is why she loves you like someone who's always saying goodbye. The first man taught her to be more interesting. You inherit a woman who exhausts herself trying to entertain you. She becomes a chameleon of personality, shifting her interests to match yours, her energy to complement yours, her dreams to accommodate yours. She doesn't know how to be boring and still be loved. She doesn't know how to be herself and still be chosen. The second man taught her to stay mysterious. You inherit a woman who can't fully relax into intimacy. She ratios her vulnerability like medication, giving you just enough access to keep you interested, but never enough to make you comfortable. She's learned that mystery is maintenance, that distance is preservation, that withholding is the only way to avoid being discarded. The third man taught her to be independent. You inherit a woman who can't ask for help. She's learned that needing someone is the first step toward losing them. That dependence is weakness, and weakness is abandonment. She'll carry groceries that are too heavy and fix problems she doesn't understand and handle crises she's not equipped for rather than risk appearing like someone who requires support. The fourth man taught her to be nurturing. You inherit a woman who gives more than she receives. She's learned that love is something you prove through service, that worth is something you demonstrate through sacrifice, that keeping someone means becoming indispensable to their comfort while remaining dispensable to their future. The fifth man taught her that nothing lasts. You inherit a woman who's always waiting for the end. She doesn't plan anniversaries because she's not sure you'll make it that long. She doesn't introduce you to her family because she's not sure you're staying. She doesn't make space in her closet because she's not sure you belong there. Each of her serious relationships was a seminar in heartbreak. Each man was a professor of disappointment. Each ending was a graduate level course in how to survive being abandoned by someone who once made you believe abandonment was impossible. The woman who slept with 50 men went to 50 different schools for one night each. The woman who loved 5 men went to 5 universities and got degrees in how to lose yourself in someone else's expectations. But the woman who slept with 50 men learned something different. She learned that her worth isn't determined by someone's decision to stay. She learned that intimacy doesn't require permanence, and pleasure doesn't require promises. She learned that she can give her body without giving her power, share her pleasure without sharing her peace. She approaches relationships as someone who knows her own value rather than someone who's hoping you'll determine it for her. She offers herself as a complete person rather than as a project waiting for your approval to begin. She loves from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, choice rather than desperation. When she meets you, she's meeting you as herself, not as the accumulation of everyone who left her. When she touches you, she's touching you with hands that remember pleasure rather than promises. When she gives herself to you, she's giving you access to her present rather than mortgaging her future. The woman with 5 serious relationships learned that love is something you earn through self-erasure. The woman with 50 encounters learned that connection is something you choose through self-possession. One learned that her worth is determined by her ability to make men stay. The other learned that her worth exists independent of who chooses to leave. One carries the accumulated disappointment of 5 men who promised forever and delivered temporary. The other carries the wisdom of someone who never confused temporary with worthless. You think the number matters. You think 50 is more dangerous than 5. But 50 strangers can't teach you to hate yourself the way 5 lovers can. 50 bodies can't damage your capacity for trust the way 5 hearts can. 50 encounters can't convince you that you're fundamentally unlovable the way 5 relationships can. The woman who gave her body to 50 men still owns her soul. The woman who gave her soul to 5 men is still trying to remember who she was before she started becoming who they needed her to be. She doesn't punish you because you're like them. She punishes you because she learned that all men eventually become them. The man who leaves, the man who lies, the man who makes promises he never intended to keep, the man who finds someone better after convincing her she was the best. This is why she can't trust your words. Words were how they seduced her. This is why she can't believe your promises. Promises were how they trapped her. This is why she can't accept your love. Love was how they destroyed her. You're not dating her. You're dating the graveyard of every man who came before you, every ghost she carries, every lesson she learned about what it means to give your heart to someone who treats it like a rental car. The woman with 50 encounters learned to take what she wanted without giving what she couldn't afford to lose. The woman with 5 relationships learned to give everything and expect nothing in return to last. She learned that love is not a feeling, but a strategy, that relationships are not partnerships, but performances, that men are not companions, but critics who will eventually find her wanting and leave her with notes on how the next woman can do better. But you already knew this, didn't you? You knew it the moment you realized her past felt heavier than it should. You knew it when her reactions seemed disproportionate to your actions. You knew it when you understood that loving her meant competing not just with her past, but with her terror of repeating it. Which one sounds more dangerous now? Maybe this understanding won't change anything unless something inside you recognizes the weight she's been carrying alone.